Well, he's under control. He still has separation anxiety, I think.
From you or?
No, in general, I think.
How old is he?
He's under 2. He's teething.
What kind of dog?
He is an English Cocker Spaniel.
Oh.
He weighs 22 pounds. He's Brindle. And he was with a woman who surrendered him to go to hospice. So there was that.
Yeah.
And then there was this guy that adopted him, took him back after 2 days.
Really?
Well, I don't think this young man knew anything about training dogs, but he's been 3 weeks. Yeah, he knows Calm. He knows his name. He walks on a leash unless there's a bird.
On the squirrels.
Yeah, the squirrels seem to be okay. They can live. The birds have to be murdered. But he's got all that and doesn't tear anything up.
Good morning. Does he like other dogs?
He seems to like other dogs. He likes Pam Ramsey's dog, that other black
Yeah.
mix that Pam walks around with.
Right. Does he like little or big dogs? Does he ever hurt?
No, he just hates birds. That's pretty good.
My old dog.
You like squirrel?
He seems to like squirrels.
Oh, that's
crazy.
actually a natural foot dog with some dog.
It's like Alan, you'll laugh. It's like dog television. Watch that squirrel run up the back and down the back fence.
Oh,
The back wall.
a dog comes to our courtyard and so forth.
Same. My dog doesn't bark at anything but squirrels and deer, and he uses his mind. Oh.
And
And he's really quiet the rest of the time.
Deer is a whole different story. There's a lot of deer in my yard.
Yeah.
You saw
Not
it.
anymore. A lot of deer every.
Oh, hi, Gloria. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm working on getting my chair a little higher.
Yeah,
You never get to stand up and do it.
I don't know, some of them
are broken.
Probably
No.
want me to meet.
We can-
Alex,
No.
no, when we talk.
Well, you're not gonna. I'll get rid of it.
Here. This one's higher.
When we talk about the appointments, we can have.
Yeah, and then I'll read this down.
Yeah, and then I'll put,
Anyway, you have to meet him.
but we wanna put the
That's
paragraph
pretty good.
date up at the top.
Yeah, and is it okay if we do Paragon first, just because if I get on, just go sure.
Who even are in this? Oh, Bar. Alan's excused, Breakfast excused. And then it's just Bar. It's 9:30, we do have a quorum. Oh, my clock actually says 9:29. Part of that minute. Now my life actually is on today. Yeah, your term started when Natalie. Yeah, it was me. Yeah, right, yeah, because.
Be official.
Immediately. Yeah. But John Maynard is on a trip, so he's gonna start on March.
Okay.
And his letter asked to start.
Yeah.
If he got it. Yes. Yeah, he did that. Right.
Excuse
Okay. Oh, wait, do you have Rich?
Yeah. I just texted John and I don't have one, so, I did send him, so. Just texted.
Okay,
so.
well, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and then when they do pop in, just let me know.
Okay,
And we'll
yeah.
start- Oh, there he is.
Oh, hey, Rich,
We can do it.
can you unmute yourself?
Or does the city have to do it?
Did I mess up? Did I do something different?
Oh, there you go.
No,
Okay,
you're
never
not.
mind, now you're on, okay. We just need to call the meeting to order and then it's you.
Well, let me do public comment as well.
Okay, that's right.
Yes, so let's call the meeting to order at 9:31. We have Alan Gregory is excused. John Maynard is excused, and Barbara will probably be pursued, but is not currently here. Also, we have Nancy Fortune is a new member of the board. Just for the minutes, please. And then we'll go ahead and open up the meeting to public comment. Oh, sorry. Oh, and Gloria, of course, sir. And we have a new liaison, Gloria Latimer. Welcome. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. And now we'll go ahead and open up to public comment.
There's no public online.
Thank you. We'll close the public comment time and move on to, let's agree to change the agenda just a little bit. We want to take the update that's 5A under old business and move that up to immediately. That's all right with everybody?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. All right. Well, welcome. It's nice to see you all. Are you in, where are you right now?
I am in Arizona. My son John is in Denver.
Oh, okay. So that's not bad weather. At least you're
No,
not.
thankfully I'm not on the East Coast.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you for joining. We do have some new members to our board since the last time you all presented to us. And so they were just looking for a little catch up on, meeting you and kind of talking about where you are in your process to develop the LaFun property, which is now the Paragon property. So I'll just, with that, give it to you. Oh, Barb has joined the meeting. Hi, Barb.
Well, nice to meet everyone virtually. I'm going to let my son give an overview because I feel like we've been making very good progress and we are optimistic about some outcomes, which I'll let him share some of the details. We've shared a lot of this with Electra and again, just offer continued thanks to her for, just help in a lot of different ways. But John, why don't you give an overview of where things stand?
Okay. Yeah, and maybe before that, just for those that don't have the full history of the URA engagement with the LaFun, the URA helped us acquire from a let's say it far from existent operator of a motel that was previously on the site. There were a whole host of issues which we won't go into, but the URA was very helpful in getting that deal done and then getting the demolition. There was some asbestos in the buildings, and the URA was supportive in that effort. So we were very appreciative of that, and that goes back about 3 years from now. So we've in the meantime been working on a variety of various options. We were first looking at commercial. We spoke to a bunch of different grocery options, but we've always felt that residential is a dire need in the community. So we started with some market rate housing options. Unfortunately, the density in the zoning code doesn't really allow for dense enough projects to make that economical. And so we've since then been really focused on more so affordable housing projects. And last year in let me get my years right here. In 2025, we submitted a 9% low-income housing tax credit application through CHAFA. We have a development partner on the deal. The company is called TWG. They do a bunch of affordable housing projects across the country, but have also done a bunch in Colorado, probably to the tune of 10 different 9% projects across the state. So very experienced, know the process. They brought in a good consultant that really facilitates the whole process. And yeah, we're really excited about the application. So in this year's application, we submitted an application for 50 units, which from a zoning perspective does tap into this density bonus that's allowed in the code. And the code allows for 42 units, residential units, but with the density bonus for affordable housing, we can get up to 50 units. The application cycle, just to give you a sense of kind of where we stand in the process, the application was due at the end of January, so we submitted it last week, and it's a once-a-year cycle. So we should hear back by end of April, early May, but we feel really good about it. We addressed most of CHAFA's feedback from last year's application. yeah, they made some comments around the some of the numbers that were in the application. They wanted to increase the density. They're very focused on the amount of units that they can build per tax credit dollar. So we did some reconfiguring of the building, increase the density. We also tried to address some of their other questions in the application. So we feel really good about this year's application. A lot of times the applications take 2 rounds to get approved. Just to give you a sense, there's about 30 applications per year for this 9% round. About 10% are picked, or sorry, 10 of the 30 are picked. So about 1/3 of the applications are selected. And again, it's very competitive, but we got a ton of letters of support from the community. I think last year we had about 20. This year we had about 15. But that's goes a long way in showing why this should be well received in the community. In addition to that, the market study that we received from Newmark, our market analysts, showed that housing is very desperately needed. I know you guys are well aware that there hasn't been a new apartment building in Manitou since the early 70s. So let alone never an affordable housing project. So we think this, if we can get approved, this will do very, very well here. Outside of that, we're not putting all our eggs in one basket. We are still working on a townhome project. To Rich's point, Electra has been super helpful with her architectural background, helping us get that going. And we did engage another civil engineer to kind of help us with the site plan configuration. We do have to do some grading. You may be well aware that there's a fair amount of topo on the site. But what we've been talking about is doing a modular townhome development with a company called Fading West out of Buena Vista. So Electra, Rich, and I toured that a couple weeks ago, and their facility is quite impressive. They do most of the projects they've done across the state, but the product, I mean, honestly, you would never know that it's built in a factory. Honestly, what the factory does is really just builds everything inside, and you're protected from the elements. They don't waste as much materials. But yeah, long story short is we think that this would be a great backup option. And so what we're doing between now and the end of April, early May, is really getting our hands around some of the numbers. For the most part, as you can imagine, since it's built in a factory, there's not a whole lot you need to do on the site, but there are some big costs that we need to handle before then, most notably the grading. And so we got a civil engineer involved. He put together a light grading plan, helped us lay out the site, and the configuration of circulation with traffic and parking, et cetera. So we're working with a working with a contractor to get some site work bids. We're also working with a local contractor to put some costs around some of the final touches that need to be added. We're debating on some aspects of the project that maybe I don't need to go into, but you can factory build some of the porches and balconies, or you can have those built on site. We're still up in the air, but I think we'll probably opt for the factory built version just because it's more economical. But there are some other final touches that the contractors will need to do. For instance, landscaping, paving, the exterior painting touch-ups. There's some internal finishes that need to be handled by the contractor on site, but by and large, a lot of it's handled in the factory. So between now and April, we're going to try and get final costs on that. But the goal being by end of April, early May, if we're approved with the low-income housing tax credit application, we're going to go down that path. If we're not approved for the low-income housing tax application, we're going to try and do this townhome option, which again is 42 units. We'd probably do that in phases, about 10 units in this first year, and then the balance of the 32 units in 2027. So maybe I'll pause there, Dad. Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, I apologize. I just wanted to interject a couple things, but thank you for giving those overviews on both options. I think, like John mentions, we don't want to be unprepared should we be unsuccessful with the tax credit application this year. But I will tell you that I think all parties involved feel very good about this year's application. It is the second year that we've applied, and that generally bodes, it gives you some more favorable treatment. But we've increased, as he mentioned, densities so that the tax credit per unit is better. But I think we've had just overall a better application. Now, there's no guarantee. It will likely be a 30%, of the applicants that gain support. we did actually reach out to Senator Snyder, but we didn't realize this. He sits on the board of Chaffa, so he wasn't able to offer any support, which we now, understand. But I think the dates that were outlined are very fair, where by April, is it like the second week in April, I believe, is when they
Well,
do?
it's usually like the end of April, like the first or second week of
Of
May.
May?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's, we will have interviews with them as they review the application, and they'll go through in a little more detail about the design and such, but that will occur through that April timeframe, with the ultimate decision being late April, early May. But yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed. I think, in the end, with what I think everyone appreciates is a pretty strong need for affordable housing. I hope that we are successful. The likely timetable of that, if there's an award, would be kind of a late, because then basically once the award is, hopefully obtained, we would then finalize all of the construction and development plans and then go forward with permitting, so that, by the end of 26, there would be an official closing and commencing of construction. But that's kind of the timetable that we'd be looking at. So I just thought I'd offer a few other things, but really should allow you all to ask any questions you might have.
And sorry, maybe just one more thing before we jump to your questions. Yeah, if we do get awarded this year at the end of April, early May, our plan is, to start the permitting process, trying to get that approved this year. If we're able to get approved and get the permit pulled this calendar year, we do satisfy the Prop 123 commitment from Manitou. The city had committed to 46 units as part of Prop 123. My understanding is, based on our research, that the trigger date is when the permits are pulled. So if we're able to pull the permits for the 50 units, we do check that box for Manitou, which I think Chelsea and Fred were very excited about. But I just wanted to add that additional layer.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Pat?
Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to see you. I'm fairly new to this board, and I have a couple of questions because I wasn't involved in the whole 2022 thing. So as I understand it, you're in the development of dual goals here. Is that correct? And you're going to build somewhere?
Well, I would say we have a first goal, but if we're unsuccessful, we have a backup plan.
Okay, so it's plan A and B. Got it.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
So you're going to build somewhere between 40 and 50 units or modular pieces, correct?
That's an option B. Yeah. Option A would be traditional 2 buildings, but that would just be standard.
Maybe John, Mike, do you want to share a picture that might help them better understand what the plans are? Maybe you can share a screen of
let me do
the
that.
elevation. It's always harder to envision what it looks like, but I think the drawing may help you.
And while he's doing that, have you secured funding for all this?
Well, that's really what the tax credit application allows for. Right. Now there has been support, and maybe you can speak to this, by the county, correct, John Mike?
Yeah, so we did receive so the way it works is you can obviously apply for various funding sources from the county and from the state. The Chaffa 9% application, that's the lion's share of it. But what they call gap funding, you can go out and look. We definitely defer to TWG. They're the low-income housing experts on this. But we did apply for various funding sources. What they equate to is effectively cheap debt. So we got awarded, I think it was about $500,000 in cheap debt from the county, El Paso County, and then we also received from DOH, Department of Housing, another $1 million cheap debt. So that when you layer that into your application, it makes the approval process a little bit easier for Chaffa on their end. So theoretically, if as soon as we get the 9% awarded, we have our capital stack ready to go. We're ready to close and move
And I
forward with
think
construction.
the important note to that is that last year's application did not have these other two approvals in place when we applied. So we're, if you will, two more steps ahead, which hopefully is really positively received by Chaffa.
Okay, good. That's a good answer. My last question is, then when do you pay us back?
There isn't a plan for that. That's all part of the incentive. I mean, the obligation would be if we're unsuccessful, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, gentlemen, Darlene Kennedy, and as like Patsy, I haven't been on the board very long, but I do have a question. Do you still have the property listed with Cushman Wakefield? And if you can tell us, I don't know if you can, have you had any interest in selling the property since it is listed?
Your question is timely. That listing came up for renewal and they reached out literally a week or so ago. They have not had any new activity. And what we said was, let's just not extend the listing beyond this date because of our efforts with the Chaffa application and the other. I mean, we've been, quite frankly, so focused on that. What, again, if you will, that would have been a third backup plan, that remains. I think you knew at one time we had interest from a natural grocery store that was looking at it. That never came about. We couldn't make, basically the rents and other things work, but kind of disappointingly, honestly, that they didn't get any new interest in the property. Oh, good. Thank you. Maybe just give a quick overview. So that, I mean, this is the site plan you see. There are the two buildings, both of which are perpendicular to Manitou Avenue. There's a there's a terrace to this, given this slope. Maybe you can also talk about office, where that's going to sit, Mike. And I think there's some details to this plan that need to be finalized. I know there's some requirements for glazing along Manitou Ave. There's a percentage that's required and things like that. Some of these plans aren't. They'll need to be revised, tweaked, if you will, as we go forward.
Yeah, and we actually did have a preliminary review with Chelsea and Fred with the planning department of Manitou to run this by them a little bit. But yeah, in fact, in summary, there'd be two buildings with a parking field in between. There'd be a small little leasing office on the front of the building and a common area there. There'd be a little dog park in the back, playground. So we're still talking with planning to make sure we're meeting all the code requirements. But as I mentioned, the big needle movers here, right, are building height and density. I know that was where a lot of the gripe was from the Holiday Inn Express across the street from us, just because it was so high and so close to Manitou Ave. So we've done our best to address that, as well as stay within the confines of the zoning code. But yeah, this is option A. And then I guess to address the other question on the retail side, I mean, yeah, we would love to do retail here. The challenge has always been the traffic along 24 and Manitou Ave is just insufficient to drum up the demand from necessary parties. Our preferred strategy, though, was not necessarily just to sell the site, right? It was more so to find national tenants like a very big grocery store or something of that nature that would come and take the entire site for lease, and we'd structure some sort of deal with a preferred developer. But yeah, I just want to be clear that that wasn't like we're trying to sell the site and get out of this. It was more so us trying to find tenancy for the project.
Yeah, I'm just curious, what is the max height that you're thinking you need
It's under 35, Alan. I think there's,
That's where I think when we updated the zoning code, we created a separate zone that we expected the URA to be in that went up to 36 feet. That was a change we made at the, I think at the council meeting, they changed that. And the confusion was we created this new zone called mixed use commercial that goes up to 36. And that was the intent for this whole area. And then we had a change of planning directors and we never got around to rezoning all the properties. So in essence, you would have a good case to rezone to mixed use commercial and go to 36, if that makes any difference. It's only a foot, but that was it specifically intended for this zone.
Thank you for mentioning that, Alan. You know, it is interesting because I think we're even allowed to go up to 53 units with the bonus, what a density bonus that's allowed for in the code. And we had some, lengthy discussions with architects and TWG about that, but apparently there's actually kind of a unit cap where going with even the 3 extra units, which to your point, maybe we could take advantage of a little more height, a few more units, but apparently it just kind of maxes out the tax credit, that availability. And I don't profess to know the intricacies of that, honestly, but I think knowing there's a little flexibility is great to know because my sense is, and we'll share that with the designer, whether there's any sort of modification that's able to be done or even necessary, having that flexibility will be good.
yeah, I guess the only thing that I'd add when we talked through this yesterday with the architect and Chelsea and Fred, Alan, it does sound like the code allows for the parapets to go a little bit above 35 feet, but so far as it's currently designed, I think we're okay. And yeah, to Rich's point, I do know that there's this balance of, you're only allowed so many credits from Chaffa. And so, eventually like you get to a point where you can't build any more units. And we're really at that threshold. We're kind of maxing that out. There are some ways you can ask for, what do they call it? A discretionary bonus where they can give you a little bit more money, but I don't know if, that would really accomplish getting another unit or not. So I think the way they've currently designed it's maxed out. I think the big changes that would probably happen at this point, because we fit within the current zoning code is more so on the facade. We talked about some things that would be better received from the community or not, and we're going to try and incorporate that to the extent possible. They had said something about Manitou loves, I think they call it greenstone, although it's actually red. I don't think you can really incorporate that into developments, but maybe there's something that can match and mirror some of what you see elsewhere in the community. We had talked about maybe doing the retaining wall of something of that design. So those are kind of a lot of discussions that are ongoing right now is more so the final design details.
Morning, Nancy Fortune. Given that the Manitou Springs has invested so heavily with tax dollars into this project, are you aware of any creative provisions whereby it can be given first choice to our folks like police, teachers, city employees, and so on and so on? In other words, instead of having this whole bunch of people from Colorado Springs move into our low affordable housing, it would actually go to what we had originally had.
I'm not aware of, like, if you call it prioritization to tenancy, if you will. I don't know if this kind of relates to the question, but I think there's some sort of, if you will, goal for, like you say, teachers and others that are local to be able to take advantage of this. I don't know if there is an ability, I don't say either to restrict or prioritize what happens there, but maybe, John Mike, why don't you talk through the stratification if people don't have a full appreciation of what will happen and how the rents will be controlled through these tax credits to allow for that affordability. If that's of help to you, I just don't know that you can, again, prioritize or restrict people. But, that's a question we might ask TWG. I mean, honestly, but
Yeah,
unless,
Dad, I do know that, yeah, you can't restrict housing applications. It gets into like the whole fair use,
yeah,
or
that's
what
what
do
I
they call
figured.
it? Equal rental, where, everyone has the same right to rent a unit, unless
Yep.
there's like some sort of formal commitment from an organization. I don't think we can prioritize. That said, I do know in our application that we referenced the when Manitou put together this comprehensive plan, there was some analysis done on the amount of individuals that work in Manitou, but then have to commute to outside of the community. And I think that's definitely a driving point of the type of people that we're trying to serve here, right? The individuals in the retail industry that serve the tourism industry. The intent here obviously is to meet them. In terms of the unit split, the units range from about 30 to 60% of area median income. And so obviously they have to go through a process of getting qualified for area median income, based, and certain units are designated as 30% or 40%, 50% and 60%. But yeah, I don't think we can prioritize Manitou, because like then it gets into, that someone's been working in Manitou for 15 years but lives in Colorado Springs. Do they qualify? It kind of gets, I don't know. It's a very messy line, and understandably legally complicated.
I think so.
I can reach out to Carolyn at Chappa and Fallon at DOLA to see, because I think that we have done that. I mean, with other projects,
If there's an ability, I mean, yeah, that's,
any loopholes, or if Chappa or DOLA have some ways that workforce housing.
thank you.
Yeah, I'll answer. I'll see if I can find an answer to that question for you all.
I'd also like to know the study that you referenced. Is that something we could get access to, or do we have access to it?
Market study?
Yeah, you should. It was like the Manitou Springs comprehensive plan. I'm happy to share some of the details that we pulled out of that.
Yeah, I thought they had an additional study.
But I'm also happy to share our market study, which kind of shows the lack of affordable housing in this area and why it's so very much needed. And it goes by unit type, right around how many units are needed. So I'm happy to share any of those details on the market study.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to apologize. I have to break to another, but I'll let John continue. Good, nice to meet you all by electronic.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Okay. Any final questions? Lectra, I'm happy to share with you the design for the current design for the low-income housing. Happy to point to the data we pulled from the comprehensive plan. Happy to share the market study. Was there any other follow-up items that?
Like the two options where you guys are at, I've shared for the most part everything I've had, but I just want to make sure that newer members of our board get those again. So if you would like to share, that'd be fantastic, and I'll get them in the packet for next month. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it.
John, I do have one more question. If it moves to the townhome project, will a certain percentage of those townhomes still be affordable?
I mean, the goal is to build units that are affordable. I think there's often this confusion when you say capital A affordable and lowercase A affordable, right? I mean, modular units are clearly lower cost than what you build in stick and brick, but yeah, those would not be capital A affordable, which capital A affordable is just going through the state and getting a tax credit. So we would not be going through another tax credit application process for that. that one. That would just be, us going out and getting a loan, buying the units and building them on site, and then trying to sell them.
Are you still looking at DOLA funding that we talked about with Fallon for the townhome units? Because I know there were two different lines of funding. The light tech was for rent, and then the townhouse, there was the DOLA funding that you could apply for in April that was the for sale.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've looked into that. I think that the challenge, Electra, is like, and I'm sure you guys feel as anxious as we do. We want to see something happen here. What we're worried about is going through a whole nother DOLA application process, and then what those requirements would be. So I think if we can make the numbers make sense without it, we can move a lot faster. So that's kind of what we're going through right now, is really determining can we make sense of the numbers or not. And I think if not, then you have to start looking at other funding sources to bridge that gap.
Okay. Thank you so much, John. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
That's helpful. Yeah, thanks for getting them lined up there. A good question, yes, on that. Transportation people.
I can't help but wonder if we can work directly with them to pre-position people for.
We can probably do it through marketing, but it's all done through income.
Right, no, and I know that, but we've worked with the housing advisory board and so on to
Yes.
find out who is, wants to move, who's got the income. I mean, I just think that.
Allison had reached out to me about being at the meeting, and she's not, but I will bring other make sure that she is on. She's well.
They probably are legal.
They are
Big,
fair.
yeah.
Big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, even just like, forming some people who have workers in town.
Exactly.
That things are coming up for.
The thing is that, and Nancy, I think it was a great question too, but I think we're gonna come up against HUD regulations, which are so onerous. And I know that when I was working with the HUD regulations at the Housing Authority, unless, as he said, there was a partner there's been a partnership with a school district down south. And they built an affordable housing complex for the teachers, and it was just for those teachers. But there was a part of it that there was a funding source that created that ability. And I don't think, as he mentioned, I'm not sure. Because I know when people have the housing authority approval, they can come from California, they can come from New York, they can come from anywhere.
It might be worth reconnecting with Sam Harvey, the person that we
Yeah.
met
Yeah.
about that project.
Well, it just seems like it's a good project for the housing advisory board to take on services. But I do think that there's options that, not that they're holding stuff, but just that, if the city can, or whomever can work with folks and say, here, it's coming up, get ready, get your applications in first, right?
And I will reach out to Fallon and Dola too, because they do have some affordable help with for sale units.
The problem with for sale and purchasing is we have to watch for corporations pulling them out of the market.
Well, you're only allowed to buy, if it's an affordable one, you have to qualify for the AMI, so then you can't be a corporation. So if we do go that, if they do go that route with the townhouses, that kind of but absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, one of the only ways to build wealth too.
and yes, I agree with that. And the research, I kind of looked up some stuff about the income situations here. And Farley may be interested in this. Food service and hospitality workers are the people in Manitou who meet the criteria. Period. That would be a really good kind of marketing piece.
So the chamber would be a good place
Yes.
to look at.
Yes, but yeah, food service and hospitality makes an average before tips. Don't get into that. 19-18 an hour. That's not bad, but it does meet the criteria of affordable housing. Yeah. In case you're curious, our average in Manitou is $33 an hour. Everybody else.
Yeah, I talked to Jen about this specific thing, exactly when I met with
Oh,
her
good.
this month, was affordable housing for food service and bar employees in Manitou across the board.
So I would just say we ought to look at all ways to make this happen, right? And do all the things that we can to support their efforts. you know.
Allison says she's on the call.
Okay, I can, oh.
Yeah.
Fantastic, okay.
I agree.
Okay,
Good. That was very
Just
helpful.
out and move on to
Very
the
helpful.
approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Right, I had some comments. Did you ever, well, maybe this is for you, but I'd like to add the Santa Fe Motel is in Manitou Springs city limits. We talked about that and I
Yeah,
can't
it's-
find it.
Not in there. Oh, man. It should be kind of around that El Colorado update, right in there.
Okay, I will make sure that's in there. I thought that was the one before, but I will make sure. Okay, Sam.
And I don't know if you have to add that email then as an attachment from the county assessor that said it is, I don't know.
I will definitely do that. Important piece, absolutely.
she said, Allison said she's on the call, she's just listening. Thank you, Allison. So I'll add in, the Santa Fe Hotel, the email.
Any other changes? Or additions? All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes with those changes?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Pat, we have a second. All in favor?
We're good.
The motion was by, I'm sorry.
Pat.
Me, then.
and
Alan.
I said by Alan, okay, I apologize.
It's all right. You can do three things.
Yeah,
if
you want to.
Yeah.
Modified.
Yes, and I think the minutes are very, very helpful as well as Electra's monthly activity report is, I always like reading those every month. However, one of the things that becomes apparent is that they're very process oriented. And I was, which is great, I'm a very process oriented person. But I think as I was reading the minutes, I kept coming back to what discussed this, what's the status of this. And I was wondering if we were doing a pared down dashboard kind of an issue where we, status on the issues that are discussed to perhaps put in your monthly report. Does, I don't know, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're correct.
That way we can get track, really more easily track where we are with stuff. Yeah. Okay. I agree.
And a list of accomplishments, what did we finish?
Yeah, timelines.
Yes.
And so on. Yeah. Anticipated revision dates and I think these are fine.
Nice job on the minutes, though.
Yeah.
In general,
I'm not,
I try to just make them so that we capture everything,
You're
but
doing good.
I have a real problem with like putting way too much detail in everything I do, so.
No,
Electric is going like.
they're getting cleaner, right? And it's
Okay,
a
but
work
the
in
dashboard
progress.
is good.
ChatGPT will get you. Give me a
Dashboard is not much.
50-page summary.
and I appreciate the because I don't remember anything. So I need everything right.
It just helps a lot, so.
Oh, yeah. Fine.
One page detail dashboard.
Okay. And we're looking at the November financials, which are separate email. Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize.
All right, yeah, include your calendar, you'll get these financial statement. It shows 763, 276 in the bank. There's the expenditures. They have December, but they can't issue December statements until they get the 2025 taxes from the El Paso County Treasurer, which they don't generally get until sometime in February, because they show that as a receivable. So we'll get December eventually. But it could be a while.
They're
Everybody's full. closer.
I asked a question. Yeah, on the annual budget, under the sales tax, the budget like 249, but the actual is 0. What?
Well, we as in the 2025 budget, we assumed that the city would give us tax increments that.
Yeah, all right, never mind. Yeah.
And never. Very
And where, I have one question on that.
Yeah.
Where did we put the 25,000 that Paragon gave us?
probably, well, when was that?
End of November is when
No,
it's
May.
posted.
It'll be in December. Well, it'll get posted when I deposit. when I
Okay,
have
that's-
deposited it. So
That was my
probably-
other little question.
And I think it will show significantly, but we'll see.
Yeah, you might want to do a line item description so we don't forget.
Okay.
Asking you again.
Yeah.
You do a good job on that.
All right, then. Is there a motion to approve the November financials of the Nathan Park Citizen? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, very good. Let's talk about quickly or just update, confirm that the Dover report. Well, refiled. Yeah.
Refiled, yeah.
Division of local government. So that was filed. You have to get it filed before January. And it was. It was consistent and it was. Okay, very good. Then we need a motion for that. So then we'll move on to old business. We've already discussed Paragon. The crane update, there really is no update at this point. Audrey is working on a draft resolution for the mural to take to council. She's just in the beginning stages of that. She is going to be out on medical leave again in the beginning of April, I believe, end of March. So she's trying to get all of that done before she goes on medical leave. And then the other thing is she is continuing to track the mural at the Dillon, and it's basically Felipe is saying, we're gonna do it, gonna find the money, but we don't have it right now. That's kind of what it is. So I say we just be patient and let them work through that system. He's excited to do it, so I'm sure it's gonna happen. That's my green update. Y'all have any questions about green things? All things green. Great. Okay. Okay, so our big discussion today, the planning.
Oh, wait, we have one more. The facade grant application. Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, the facade grant application and update.
The facade grant. Is that? Oh, we are gonna defer that. She don't want to say that at the meeting. Is that okay? We want to push that back and do a little more work on that. Is that all right?
Does that work?
Yeah, Darlene and I agreed on that when I completely lost. track of
Okay,
that.
that's fine. So we'll put
Yeah.
that in the.
And the three of us need to meet.
Defer to March.
So that we can bring to the board. Some options.
Okay.
Okay, my apologies. Okay. I might be looking at a different agenda because I have the next topic being the meeting for heightened.
No, that is the next topic.
It is, oh, okay. Okay. All right, so back to that. So we have been asked, correct me if I'm wrong, Alan, I'm just, Electra, but we've been asked to provide recommendations to the planning.
Yeah.
Height and density before, prior to their discussion of this topic. Their meetings, so they want to hear what we like, and we instructed, or Darlene and I were dug up all of the working code update working group documents that we could find, because we thought that was the best cross section. And the recommendations that came out of that board were after 2 years of a lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of disagreement. But we, as a rule, we did not move on to the next topic in any of those meetings until we had 100% agreement. And to me, that is
that's a big deal. So all of that work was done. Now things changed along the way, but I wanted to pull all of that up and provide it to you all to see, you know, where you sit with that. So I don't know, Electra, if you want to give maybe a little synopsis of where the an Allen maybe kick into and where the code is now. Where
I didn't do a synopsis of it, I just put everything in there for it. Do you wanna do this?
Yeah, well, I'll just, I can explain the rationale for why the planning commission's looking at that. After the failed density request for a variance back, I guess last year, the year before, what they do is late 2024. There was a lot of discussion that the reason that the predominant reason it failed was because it just didn't meet the criteria for a variance. And you know, there was concern that we had spent so much time coming up with the various criteria. We didn't want to just come up with.
Oh, are you gonna, okay.
oh, are you going to?
Well,
I thought there was something on the screen. I got you.
So anyway, the feeling was, well, you know, maybe this could have been approved if we had a higher density. And the biggest thing that I remember from our work group and all the public engagement, the primary thing was height. And so anyway, we threw it around the planning commission, basically suggested that we review density and possibly height, but I think height is lesser the desire than maybe increasing density, if that's what, you know, the process replied. So that's where it came from, basically. You know, that people said, well, maybe we could go higher than the 20 units per acre and plus the density bonus, but that's worth discussion. So that's where we are. It's trying to get that feedback, and the planning department said, well, let's talk about height too. So the interest is knowing what both the HAB and the URA, what their vision is, and then that gets chewed up and discussed and vetted with the community and all the public. So that's.
I have a question. What in all these discussions, and I know that you've been on the planning commission since forever. Was there a lot of talk, or was there any talk regarding the resources that come with increased densities?
It always, yes.
Okay, there was. They addressed it.
Well, it always enters a discussion.
Well, the resources, police department, fire department, school roads, school districts, all that stuff. The infrastructural resources. Did that impact the density discussion?
Resources on the community is what you're saying,
Yeah.
not resources within the development.
No, no,
Those are two different things.
Police,
Yeah,
fire,
yeah,
school,
yeah.
fire,
So the raw on resources,
service.
the services are
As the population goes up, you have X increase in infrastructural resources.
Yeah, that's always been part of this
Okay.
discussion, and hopefully it will be again
I hope.
next week.
Out of the committee that you guys served on, the recommendation was for 25 units, correct?
I can't.
I think when Hannah took it to the planning commission, that was our acceptable approval. And then, did it change at city council?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, reduced it. Yes, yeah. And to
20.
so I would personally like to see go back. And then of course I had forgotten that we had rezoned this to, I was assuming that we had, so I was studying that. You know, by the way, going back and listening to those meetings was excruciating the second time. It was bad first time. Anyway, so I did look into it and I can't remember, but there were 2-3 counselors, maybe 4, who were concerned about density being, they were the ones who voted to basically, or discussed it down to 20 rather than 5. And I would question those, justifications that they use. I know that one of them was that, the law that the state was imposing on us there's some question on balancing if we would have to increase density at some point, we would be forced to increase density at one point. Do you remember that argument?
Yeah, and the other thing that I remember that Councilor brought up was the idea that, I can't remember the term used, but basically that it would mandate any new housing development would require a certain portion to be affordable.
Right, there was.
And that was actually, that was what they directed the House to investigate, remember?
Right,
They-
inclusionary,
Exclusionary,
inclusionary,
Yeah.
sorry, and I don't think we ever did that either, I don't think they're following through on that.
I think that HAB did,
Zoning or housing?
no, the inclusion, they looked at the inclusionary zoning and determined that it was too messy or sticky or too
At the
complicated.
time we were approving the LUDC.
No, this is afterwards. This is in the subsequent year that the HAB did that. I believe Allison, if she's still on, maybe she can remember that conversation.
But it was never implemented.
No, it was never, it was discussed and the findings that the HAB had was, oh, this is a mess. We question the validity of ever doing it. And so it kind of dropped. I think we had another joint HAB planning commission meeting, or at some point there was a report out from that.
My memory is totally going, I remember that. But I did miss a couple of HAB meetings, I don't really know. But I do know at the time, when we were back in 2023 or whenever we were looking at this, the question was, do we incentivize some of these things or do we create this inclusionary zoning? And I don't think that the city, i.e. planning commission, planning department, and city council ever finalized anything with that.
I think they dropped it.
Right.
After that HAB did their work on it.
But I don't remember that ever coming to city council, and city council, listening to those things last night, it sounded like city council was expecting. But I can't say that 100%, so that we'd have to go back and look at that. But regardless, my whole approach to the LUDC was to basically, I was just wanted it to get approved so badly, so I went along with whatever your committee. Because to me, you guys have done the work way more than the planning commission and certainly city council. And I'm quite honestly not worried about resources in the city. The school needs as many people as they can possibly get. And talking previous public works director, he said water was no problem for the and correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't think police would be a problem, but I can't. Oh, there's Allison now.
There we go. I just
But
removed it.
regardless, so I would like to go back to that 25 units that the committee recommended originally. Because I think they had a much better process, a much more informed process than anyone else had. And oh, by the way, it wasn't, even a planning commission, it was not 100%. I'm missing Dave Armstrong a lot these days, listening to his arguments, his discussions on planning commission. So anyway, that's what I would propose.
Allison's been promoted too, just for discussion. She's the
Hey there, I was going to answer what Alan was asking. So the city council endorsed or agreed when the HAB added the city of Manitou Springs into the Colorado Proposition 123. They agreed to increase affordable housing in Manitou Springs by 43 units because that was the gap that I think sort of what John Block was talking about with their market survey on the study that they did around the units the number of units per our community's, I don't know, income or whatever, was 43 units. We lack 43 affordable units. So those are for 30% to 50% area medium income for Manitou or for El Paso County. And the city council supported unanimously that, I don't know, I don't know if it's an obligation, but that like they supported that with the goal of increasing those units. That was a 3-year goal. So the end of 2026 would be um, when we would have to increase it. And if we don't, the only consequence is that there's like a pause period where our city couldn't, a developer couldn't access funds within Prop 123 for a period of time because we didn't reach that goal. So that's what City Council did agree to unanimously to increase 43 units, support that in the city of Manitou.
Allison, do you remember ever discussing the inclusionary housing? It seems like that was pushed back onto the HAB.
Yeah, and I think the research that we did, and then, there was always something with planning director changes. We would sort of get momentum on some of these things, and then the planning director changed, and then we would sort of get back to something else. So I think at one time we were looking at it, and we decided that it would maybe prevent developers from coming, in and kind of like justifying that. Because just like what John Block was saying, it can be difficult because, um, they have to be at the mercy of like these, like Chaffa, like why they were declined before was that that Manitou, the planning department wouldn't give them the variance, so then they had to drop back in the number of units. But then that for the Chaffa, there's going to be another project that's going to have the 50 plus that they require. So Peregrine was out of the playing field. Like they also have to meet the playing field of these, opportunities, whether it's funds with Proposition 123 or for and that city put them in a bad position where they didn't get it. So now they're going to try again. And so that's why, if the city of Manitou, if city council supports this initiative to increase units by 43 affordability, then the city has to make some modifications specifically related to developers who are willing to develop affordable with a capital A, like John Block says. If they want that, which aligns with Prop 123, then we have to make some variances for those developers. Like praise to Peregrine for hanging around because they could have just said, sorry, y'all, we're going to go with townhomes. We're going to make some money. We're going to sell these things and move on with it. And they have hung around, which is like a gift, which for some reason, I don't know, I give them praise, but I think if they get denied this time, they're probably going to move on to the townhomes.
So,
Thank you, Alice.
yeah, I'm not sure, really, I'm still not sure where we end up with inclusionary housing versus incentives, or inclusionary zoning versus incentives, but my bottom line comes to, I would rather loosen up the restrictions since we're in the URA, just in the URA, and get that rezoned, to be in accordance with the current specs, whatever we would call it. Rather than consistently, the council has gone with as restrictive as possible. And the ADU one that just went through, I found incredibly restrictive, unnecessarily restrictive. So again, I would definitely go back based on the solid foundation that the committee built, and go back to 25 units rather than 20 units. So
if we went to the 25 units, can we discuss variances a little bit? Because then, you know, we'll go from 20 to 25. But then we have this ability of variances too. Is that an option for this 25 or is it not?
That's a great question, because my understanding is, and you know, that the whole LUDC was put in place, redone to reduce the request for variance. And this council, in the first couple of years that it was in place, the council has absolutely stood and not given variances, sometimes against our better judgment, I think. I think we probably should have given at least one variance that I'm aware of, but we decided to back planning commission flat, you know, stick to the LUDC. So I think that at least this past council, and I don't know where the new council is going to be, but 2 of the members are planning commission folks. So, so I think that, again, that variances, we can discuss them, or planning commission can discuss them. But I think that the restrictions are in place that, and council has not been inclined to grant variances. So I don't know if that.
Yeah, that helps. My opinion is that if we go with the 25, which the committee agreed to, I'm kind of a stickler with variances because I believe if you're gonna buy a property and you're gonna develop it, you know the rules when you go in. Right. And I still believe that we do have a very small town and we do have a very small police department and a very small fire department. And as other things, I will always say, if you're gonna do it for them, are you gonna do it for them and them and them? You know, there has to be a fairness to everything we decide on. And if we went with the 25, and I think I remember why we did it, and there were huge discussions. I mean, entire evenings, hours of discussions about this. I would be okay with the 25, but I'm pretty well not okay with variances with the 25.
Yeah, one of the things that came out of that variance discussion in 2024 was, and another variance, probably the one that Nancy's alluding to that she would have agreed to, was that we need to tweak our variance process to, you know, get rid of the subjectivity, get rid of the get rid of the impossibility in some situations. And so that's one of the things that has been discussed at the planning commission, and the planning staff has come up with a proposal on how to change it. And one of the areas that they're discussing, and it's not clear how it's going to work out, would be that variances are for things like physical reality, like, you know, you can't do the setback because there's a big boulder in the middle, or you have to cut down a 3,000-year-old tree to do anything in honor the setbacks. That's what it's for. It's not intended for density.
Right.
Density should be a discussion that's, if you don't like the density, change the density. And that's why we're talking about it now, is let's get the density that we can live with without getting these demands for a variance for density. It shouldn't even, you know, when I was a little frustrated with the variance discussion for the density and some of the comparisons and rationales that were made. You know, I had a long conversation with Fred, and he said that his experience had been that variances were not for density. Variances were for those physical realities, height, setbacks, and lot coverage, that kind of thing. So anyway, stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Now that we kicked it around last month, and I just felt like we're just sort of shuffling the deck chairs. But that's going to be vetted in March, assuming that this month the commission can come up with those proposals for density.
If the variant, and I totally agree with you, if the variance process, we've had planning directors put a motion into it, and landowners, we know what's happened in the past. And I think the process needs to be, if we get a new planning director tomorrow, the process is still the process. It has, with the planning directors we've had, good or bad, It seems to have been too much
Subjective.
subjective and opinionated and, well, if you don't agree with it, you're a bad planning commission, you're a bad city. No, that's really not the case. Some are yes and some are no, but I agree with you totally.
It would seem to me that the 25 units and no variance is a win-win situation.
But does it cover all things?
So does the mixed use commercial zone help with some of the things like, I know there was a request and I'm just talking about things like screening of HVAC units or something on the roof, like things that go above, because I know you had mentioned that had been an issue of things, the 30% glazing on the front. There are certain things like that. Or maybe it can be addressed in the mixed use commercial zone specifically, or within a zone district where, where housing should go.
Yeah. Yeah, and that it's an unfortunate thing that we dropped the ball, and by we I mean the city, in not rezoning this whole area of the URA to be mixed use commercial. Because that was the intention of the committee and the intention of the planning director. And then when we swapped out planning directors, that whole notion got dropped, because I brought it up one time to David Chelsea, and I said, hey, but they're the southern. He said, oh no, we have to go rezone all those properties. They're all commercial, they're not mixed use commercial. That's not a notion.
Then I would certainly recommend that we go back, that the URA goes back its recommendation to rezone into this commercial thing, because I thought this had already been done.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that should be part of our recommendation.
I agree.
That is presented next week.
I agree.
Besides a height recommendation, remember that the intention was that the URA, all properties would be mixed use commercial. I think that the pushback I got from either, I think it was from Chelsea, was, some property owners, maybe they don't want to do that. I think, as I remember talking to Hannah, if the city initiates the rezoning request, then the property owners are off the hook for having to pay.
Right.
And because that's a big issue, if like the LaFawn property went in and said, yeah, I want to change my zone, they get the fork out a bunch of money just to do the process.
So right now what I'm hearing is two possible recommendations, the 25 units per acre and the mixed, asking that the URA get rezoned as mixed use commercial, and then the variance question, how do we want to?
That's not our, that's.
Just leave that alone, okay.
Yeah, that was just an observation that Brian made, and I'll just say that is being.
Handled by a new process they're working on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can we just go around the room real quick and just, can I just get thoughts on 25 units per acre as was recommended by the code update working group? Is in agreement? Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, so are there any of those? No. No. Oh, yes. And then recommending the mixed use commercial.
Yes, with a comment.
Okay.
That I think in this room, you might get some pushback because it's going to be a lot of work for the planning department, but I think it is absolutely necessary. And it was part of our whole discussion.
Right.
For 2
And
years.
again, the fact that came out of that.
Can't that be referenced, Alan?
Oh, yeah,
Very
yeah.
specific.
Yeah,
I think it can be
I
pointed to.
brought it up, and I was just like a voice in the wilderness, but if our representative, I assume Farley or whoever presents for the URA meeting next week, can just say, hey, this is our other recommendation, and
I thought it had been done too, Nancy, but this is also a huge incentive for these properties to be resold and redeveloped if they don't have to go through this onerous, expensive process. And we worked hard making the URA that way. So,
Yeah, and it's definitely worked, because I don't know whether they're like, how many property owners in the URA, like over 30 or something?
Yes.
So they all have to be contacted and notified.
yeah,
And they're mostly absentee.
it's
Yeah.
gonna take
There's
some
only
work.
2 that are actually in, I mean, there's only a few that are in Manitou. It's really limited.
Well, but absentee is some over in Colorado Springs, some over.
Yes,
in
no,
here.
they're in Colorado Springs.
It's not.
Just.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, maybe a couple in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, Boston.
So how does everybody feel about that one?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
sorry.
yes, totally.
Is there any notes on that?
I would say as long as it's not a burden on the property. Because it would be if you.
Right.
If they charge fees.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But they have to work with the city because they have to sign the documents and they have to agree to this.
Yeah, it could be, it's probably a long process.
Is there anything else, Nancy, that you might want to do a release community prior sessions?
URA community engagement.
Yeah, the planning department there to
Explain
explain.
what it is.
Yeah.
With property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a sign, right? Yeah. It's all signed.
A little wine and some cookies.
All right, we have 2. What about height? Oh, one more.
I wanted to.
Okay, okay.
So, I would support going higher with the height, going up to 39 or 40 feet for the height, given the step back. I believe I understand this correctly. Do I, that it has to be,
Yeah, blend into the.
What is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's, yeah, it has to fit
terrain?
the terrain, like, you know, a great example with the Holiday Inn. The front is the, 35 plus 5 for the broken facade. But the back is almost 50 because of the slope. And the way our old height calculation was, it was for commercial, it was just height from the street. And so what we changed was it had to be basically a building envelope. If you went up a slope, you didn't get to go, up and have the average, which is what our old calculation was. Now it's like you have to fit into the contour of the land.
Well, the reason that I would recommend that we increase is simply because I think in URA, we have not been successful in attracting new builds or redoing stuff, refurbishing, whatever you want to call it. And I think that, and I don't have a lot of data to back this up, but I think that it's just not attractive to developers to come in. And again, I could be wrong on that, but we've seen with the Paragon that they've had trouble penciling out this stuff. So I think if we give, and I know with where Lulu's used to be, they came in, I think, for variance a few years ago to put an antenna on top, and we had to go through the whole thing. And it's like the 4 foot thing or whatever. So I think for something like that, to add the extra 4 or 5 feet to allow those sorts of things, I think would be helpful to potentially attracting appropriate development without influencing the views or the visuals, the aesthetics.
Just one thing, I think already that an antenna, HVAC, that stuff is already permitted. It just has to be set back from the front of the structure.
Okay, so they already could go to 39 and 40 feet. So
Um,
put those things on there set back.
We'd have to look at the specifics, but I'm pretty sure that accessory, whatever, I can't think the nomenclature for things like antennas and HVAC is allowed on that.
Alan, didn't we have 2 different recommendations for the north side versus the south side? Because we were trying to protect the creek, and the north side stacks up so much towards the highway that at 40 feet, you're still not above Highway 24 or something. I thought we did 2 different height recommendations.
I can't remember. I think we talked about it. I thought we maybe went back to just.
I remember that too, but I don't remember what we took to council. Did anybody watch the video? Because I don't remember that part.
I did that, and it was 39 feet for any building or portion of the building that is on the south side of the avenue. And
Okay.
50 feet
Yeah.
on
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's, that could be a recommendation to go to restore that. I mean, that's only 3 feet of
Right.
what it is right now. If we rezone to mixed use commercial.
Two comments if I may. One, the reason that was such a huge discussion again, evening after evening, was because of the Holiday Inn. And the canyon effect, and oh my God. It was a crazy discussion. I think we did the best we could, and I really think we did. The other thing is, back to question, well, a comment, is the higher you go, the more fire regulations there are. So you're not taking the onus off the property owner. It's still gonna be expensive. And so,
For an affordable house, the more units or, the more you're able to, it just will make it pencil easier, I think, if you're trying to keep.
yeah, well, if you're going
Mixed use
higher,
and affordable.
if you're going higher,
Yeah.
the fire code will be more restricted.
Right, and so, yeah, it's just how they pencil it out, and so we heard from Paragon, that they don't need to go higher, that they're good to go. So I think it's just, again, I would like to take the, loosen up the bind a little bit.
And I agree with that, but back to my variances. I think if we loosen it, I don't think there should be variances. Because the higher you go, the higher you go, the higher you go. And we do have limitations. Visually and code wise and everything else, so.
Back to
My
my
comment.
comment, though, it's a different condition on the creek side versus the highway side. And on the highway side, one of the things that the lights do is block sound.
Right.
And if you're able to stack them, even if you have if the front wall, like the Holiday Inn, if you had that split where the top came back, like the olive tree or something, well, it's
Step back.
where there was a step back in the top portion, the canyon effect where it's framing the street shifts. And then that shifting just creates more of a pedestrian zone and space as well, and it breaks down the scape.
Well, we're agreeing to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah,
just
But just, I would say
Yeah.
treating the two separate, like the side on the creek is very different because you're so limited in space.
And that's why there are two.
Versus, yeah. So are you saying 2 recommendations for either side of the creek?
That's what I would.
Well, either side of the.
Yeah.
Say it's the north side recommendation and the south side.
That's what I wanted.
Okay. And that's 39 and 50, as the
39.
working group agreed to.
Heard that, but I.
No,
I
what
can't
was
read my writing.
39 on the south side and, on the north side and 50 on this.
That's fine. I'm not doing it, south is.
I thought it was 50. Did you say 40?
No, I said 50. 39 and 50 was what the original recommendation was, but I'm not sure which was on the.
I think the 50 was on the, I'm sorry, on the south side, so I got it back. Because when you go towards the highway, you're still at 50 feet, that's what we talked about in the.
I thought we pushed back on that and didn't do 50, but.
Well, but Nancy watched the video,
Okay.
right?
But, yeah, but I don't wanna be I'm not 100% sure because I was like half asleep, but,
I just remember it was in combination with the setback, so from the street, if you go 50 feet with those, is that what you call it, not setback, the setback. That you could get to 50 feet and never get over Highway 24. That's what I remember.
I remember that discussion, I just don't remember that was our.
So we need to find that
Or-
Do you have the code?
Okay.
Can we-
The code?
I don't have the computer. So the code, you could bring up the code and it would be in there, like it's approved.
Well, it wasn't approved, what's approved was 36.
That's right, right.
yeah.
We took to the planning.
Yeah,
commission,
just
so
another
we
comment
agree.
about I don't wanna lose this,
Yeah.
going up to 50 feet, yeah, it may do some positive stuff for sound, but it does negative stuff in terms of light. Now, for you all of you who live up on Plateau in Crystal Hills, you don't get the same effect that comes on the north side. All that glow from the buildings. I mean, we get a glow when the leaves are off, a glow from the Holiday Inn walking along El Paso Boulevard. It's a completely different vibe. So that's another factor, and that was another discussion that we had.
Alan, I feel like, oh my God, just went back 3 years.
I know.
In the working group, I'm like, oh, we've been here. Okay, how about if we can let's find what the working group actually recommended to planning commission.
That's what Hannah took to the planning.
Correct. That's okay, that's
And
what I
that's in that email. The video for the planning commission is in the email.
Oh, yes, but I don't remember finding this. So we need to find this. Should I just put it out to the board?
Yeah.
And say, this is what this working group recommended, do you agree or disagree?
And there was also the agenda attached. Did you attach the agenda?
Yeah, I attached.
It's attached. And I also put in there the minute and the second when this came up, so you guys don't have to dig through the whole video.
Yeah. Topic located at 58 minutes, 25 seconds.
That's for public.
Yeah.
We can't vote.
No, not vote, I just,
Yeah, you said vote.
Did I say vote?
Yeah, I read it.
I mean, I didn't think that we were voting on any of the
You can
things.
vote on parameters here, but.
That was your, that's the copy of the document.
Yeah, we said, go to.
I'm sorry, I got it. I didn't.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. So, yes, and that is what you're absolutely right. I did not, because I didn't think that we needed to vote on any of this. This is all just recommendation.
Hold on a second, so you said 58 minutes.
Am I wrong?
And that's what you want to know, that's what the agenda.
Yeah, but not vote. Okay? Do you want to vote? Yeah.
58 minutes. When you put it
Yeah.
Okay, hold on one second, I think I can pull it up.
Robert's rules. Okay.
58 minutes.
And that's where the code started.
In the Zoom, in the planning commission.
It was us, but
So you need- like, I tried to-
yeah. Okay, 50.
Questions until we get some.
You would know better than me.
Do that. Okay.
Great, thank you. Jennifer Gardner with Logan Simpson. Thank you all for having me back.
Share it on the- Oh, you're not in the
We could do it on parking specification for the first time. We went to, see if I can remind everyone.
Okay, so. What were the second?
Yeah, we need to know what the right. That's where it started. That's where the
So
meeting
general
started.
provisions.
But you can move forward with
Yeah.
our slides and it'll show it.
Yeah, okay. Here, you would know better, right? So we can just move forward. Oh, it would be height, right?
Yeah.
Would be,
And that's in her slides if you keep moving forward.
okay.
Yeah.
It's like spinning like the wheel of death. I thought I'd be really efficient. Okay, so. Okay, measure building height, so this is to
Interpret these different provisions. We added language regarding setbacks and building height. We did do quite a bit of clarification on the measurement of building height. And added a section on accessory projections within that building height. So it allows for architectural features to extend 5 feet beyond the permitted building height, such as parapets, pipes, chimneys, roof-mounted solar, and HVAC equipment. It also allows church belfries to extend that 5 feet beyond the building height. And it's not allowed for a purpose of achieving additional building height to the structural portion of the building. It's for additional purposes. The planning commission did, yeah, planning commission did have quite a bit of discussion on building height. We presented these 2 images to planning commission. The top image would be
Are you a council?
general representation.
This council.
Oh, okay.
Institute Avenue. Looking at the buildings, how they're stepped back, right along the front facade, and with
I don't think so.
looking
I
on
think I tried to.
south side of Institute Avenue, where your slope goes up, the buildings, you can find an additional building, you can kind of get a sense of what that height would look like for the next layer of building. The bottom image is a proposal that came about right before planning commission to look at building height in a little bit different way, rather than just an average of your highest and lowest points on the property. Looking at kind of a building envelope or a height envelope built off of the existing grade. So if you took the existing grade and elevated it up, say 30 feet, if that was our building height, you could build within that distance and you could cut into the hillside as well. Planning Commission did like this approach and had made the recommendation for City Council to consider it as an option to our building height conversation. Additionally, in Chapter 2, we've added a provision for a density bonus, which would allow for our residential density to increase by 25% if 25% or more of the units provided were at a price that could be affordable by someone making 100% of the average median income. Zone districts, we did add a mixed use zone district, which replaces your redevelopment. So allows for building standards specific to the URA area. We did increase, the proposal increases the density from 15 to 25 DUs per acre. Lot coverage remains at 75% with some building incentives. We added a maximum front setback, so the building would have to be a certain distance from the Manitou Avenue, and clarified the development standards, which currently sit as footnotes. And I want to point out several things on this slide. So Planning Commission did suggest changing the maximum building height in the HDR zone to 30 feet. I know we're talking about mixed use commercial on this slide, but in the high density residential, we had proposed a height increase to, I think, 35 feet, and they had suggested bring that back down to 30. They did suggest reducing the mixed use commercial density to 20 DUs per acre, which per your current code is what you can get with a development incentive. And then they proposed removing the 4-foot additional height incentive that we added towards the end of this process. We added an additional incentive in the mixed use commercial for an additional 4-foot of building height, which could achieve 9-foot building height. They had suggested to remove that. I will say Commission was split on that decision. There was quite a discussion on that, and there was not consensus.
So 39.
Just a couple of other images to help our conversation this evening, because no doubt we've had some discussion with Planning Commission and will here as well on building height and density. Just some graphics and some imagery to illustrate what different densities might look like. We did present these, I think, about a little over a year ago at the meeting as well, but just brought them back out to see if that might help the conversation a little bit. And then the next one is a series of images just to kind of help visualize what 10 DUs per acre versus 40 versus 24 could look like in different scenarios.
And if I could make one additional, before we move on to Chapter 3, one additional comment from the Planning Commission was to make an addition to how 2 properties that maybe have different zone districts, how their setbacks relate to.
It looks like we lost them, Allison. Let me call Electra.
I was like, what happened? No.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
I sent her an email and left a voicemail.
Okay.
So
If
we'll,
maybe they didn't want us on there anymore. No, I'm kidding.
well, I'm hosting it, so
No, I know you have to record it. So I was joking.
yeah, it's still recording right now. So
Okay,
hopefully
good
we get them
deal.
back on here shortly.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna be right back. I gotta go just take a quick little break, but I will, hopefully we'll be back on. But
All
I'm gonna
right,
turn
cool.
my camera off.
Sounds good.
Okay.
there anything I can help with? Oh, you're muted.
Is on page. Okay, 35.
I think they're there.
Yeah.
I think we have it.
Okay, let me get it. So 35, 39.
Of the CPC packet that was attached to your email.
Okay.
39 on the south side, no, 35 on the south side, 39 on the north side.
Other way.
The north is the creek side, 35 on the creek side,
Yeah.
39 on the south.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Freaking highway.
39.
Moving on.
And with step backs,
We're not touching
We're not touching
that.
step back.
Yeah.
not setbacks, step
Yeah, I
backs.
think what the.
Step.
Don't step back.
What, yeah,
Not talking about step
yeah,
backs?
So 10 feet, it's 10
Okay.
feet.
Okay, just,
If they want more from us, we can give them more, but right now, they want height and density, and we're recommending the mixed use commercial.
okay, we've got it.
It sounds like even if we increase the density a lot from what John said, they couldn't go more for their request anyway with Jaffa, that because they could have gone with the existing zoning, they could have gone to 53 units for that property.
Yeah.
But they capped it at 50 because that's what Jaffa said.
Yeah, that's what I said, that they're capped out. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Electra, are you ready with your report?
Oh, boy,
Thank you for
sure.
the lively discussion.
Okay. I think we got it covered there. Let's see. Yeah, I can go. Let me pull it up. I've got it right here. Okay. Packet. I think I've covered most everything, so let's see. Okay, let's see my report. Yeah, it's right here. All right, so, and I will do a dashboard. I really appreciate that, and a timeline. I love those. So, okay, so I got all the administrative pieces. I met with Crane. I met with the chamber. I met with Farley. Darlene and I had a working meeting. I met with Natalie. And then the board meeting, Paragon, we went and toured we toured the Fading West facility, which was amazing, and then helped them with some of their details there, and that was fantastic. The El Colorado Lodge, I've kept communication up. We will have an update from them soon. They're having some major issues with evicting people and some other issues with all the things that they went into the deal with. The terms and details have shifted and changed according to what's actually there. And I think the guy who sold it to him was just trying to get out from under it. And so they're having issues with that. And sort of readjusting. They're trying to put in a high-end hotel, a mid to high-end hotel there, and really having some difficulties. They didn't know the buildings were in the state of decrepitude. They didn't know that there were homeless people kind of like going through the whole lot all the time. They didn't know some of the issues there. So they're working with that. So we will have a tour of that as soon as we can. And I'd love to have the boards more promoted and just their vision boards. I think their vision is fantastic. So that will be on a later agenda this month, this next year, or next month actually. So, and then we worked on the facade improvement grant, finalized and sent you both the next page, and then was supporting Darlene in gathering facade precedents and following up on some of those other details and questions that she had to pull together the facade improvement grant. And she had some fantastic suggestions and clarifications, and we're going to work on getting that in the next meeting. Dylan Bridge was in ongoing communication with the mobility and parking director regarding getting the bridge in. That's not stalled out entirely, but he's trying to deal with a whole bunch of other parking things right now. So it's not quite front burner. It's somewhere in the mid burner, I'd say.
The sign.
Yes, so the sign's up.
the signs up. That's another piece too. So activation strategies for that. I also coordinated a meeting with Paragon and the parking director because they were very concerned about having enough parking. So prior to construction starting, they wanted to see if they could collaborate on having parking at Paragon and having a shuttle. And John and Rich were totally open to that. But once construction begins, they want it. Yeah. So I did coordinate that and they're working on that.
Get the planning department involved because that parking lot is not developed as a parking lot, so they'll have to weigh in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so but it would be very similar to the Upper Dillon lot. It would be just that kind of improvements, pretty minimal improvements, but improvements nonetheless. So then let's see, I was trying to work on the bicycle pedestrian network. I reached out to Pac-Man and Joan, the Stangs, and they had reached out to me and tried to set up a meeting, and I've been still trying to set up a meeting. It has just not gone anywhere. So, and then let's see, arts and placemaking. I was collaborating with Crane on the CDOT is requiring, I think I sent that to you in an earlier packet last year, which they want a blanket right-of-way statement. And Ben, the city, Ben Schmidt is his last name. The city engineer was working on that, doing kind of a blanket proclamation to bring to city council. And I think he's just a little overwhelmed with all the things going on, but that's going to be happening. And CDOT, for anything that is in the public right of way, at this point, CDOT doesn't really want to get into the nitty gritty of any of it. They want the city to approve it and then they're fine with it. They don't care. Just as long as the city has a proclamation, the city council has a proclamation, then the city can do what they like. CDOT is just dealing with so many larger things that they don't need the little bitty things. So I met with Audrey as well. Met with the chamber to try to coordinate. I was trying to push more promotion, business promotion within the URA. Was brainstorming on that. One thought that I had was coming out of the Garden of the Gods. There's a sign that says Manitou, but not, like anything else. Like if we had one going this way and said, farm to table food between these hours, this direction, or we had, mid-high hotel or hike the incline, park at the Dillon Mobility Hub. So like a sign that when you come right out of the Garden of the Gods, and I took pictures of it to figure out more pushing of our businesses in this side too.
I've talked about signs for 3 months here. My vision is that one of those ones like on MASH, when this one goes this way and this one goes this way.
Yeah.
Those are the chamber's doing that actually.
That would be fantastic.
The chamber.
It's a funny thing, yeah.
Yeah, there is one. Yeah, doing something like that. So, but just pushing more business this way, like hike the incline, park at the Dillon Mobility Hub. This is the direction. Because people come out and there are thousands and thousands of people from all over the world coming through there. So pushing them.
We need to have like a food truck day.
Well, so I did have a discussion around food trucks too, and in the URA, I think that's a good thing. With some of the other people, they feel like it pulls from their businesses of people who are paying taxes, and so there is a little bit of pushback on that discussion. So that's mostly what I did. I did do some kind of high envisioning stuff. After our last meeting, I keep trying to figure out like ways to activate during the down season, because I see that's such a drain on our businesses. And so like the Return to Light sort of festival was an idea that I just after our last meeting, I sat down and kind of tried to think about how we could bring people and families and locals into the URA.
We should find better things to do with your time though.
Well, it's exciting.
It's
exciting. I mean, to me, the whole goal is like, how do we bring business and increase our tax revenue and increase, but all of those things. So, yeah, so that's kind of, yeah, more people staying in the hotels for different reasons. And, maybe that's conferences or something like that. And, the other thing I did was I made started refining the list of the business owners, and I'm going to do another outreach to all the business owners and just meet with all of the different hotels and all of the different business owners this year. So that's a goal. So that's my report for January. Okay.
And Electra, I loved your Return of Light campaign, just not for this year.
Oh, no, I think it's too much for this
I
year.
was
Yeah.
reading and I'm like, holy crap, there's no. But I think to work it next year would be great.
Yeah, and I was thinking about all of it, and that came from a discussion with Felipe as well, like how to activate the lots, the areas, and all of those things. And the other thing that came up too was how successful the Chris Kindle market was at Christmas. And talking with El Colorado to do like a folk market or something at El Colorado that was more like the Santa Fe folk market that they do in the summertime, where you bring people in. Yeah, all of that kind of thing. So
You comment, what's happening at Briar's? It's gonna be a wedding venue. So, yeah, who owns it or bought it or? It's a private. Yeah, what's the name? All over the state. Yeah. Oh, is it Westwood?
Yeah.
They bought it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think the deferred maintenance was a little more daunting than they had imagined.
Oh, really?
So they're in deep.
They own Crackwood.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, they're a very successful operation.
Oh, yeah, they're
So,
everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
could that be used for conferences as well? I mean, once it's updated, Craftwood and those two together?
It just depends how.
Just seems
how
like a
big-
way,
How
yeah,
much they build up the business.
especially in the winter time when it's the shoulder seasons and there's not weddings going on. Yeah, totally.
So-
Conferences.
If you could move on to new business, I'm sorry, I'm gonna push the meeting a little bit.
Okay.
We did renew with DCI. Electra, Nancy, myself are already signed up for conference.
Yes, we should be. Yeah.
Um,
I need to check because I did, yeah.
There's a whole bunch
Yeah.
representing Manitou this year. I think we're up to 7 or 8 people. And we have room for one more if anybody else is interested.
It's a very interesting conference.
Junction.
Yeah.
Party in Grand Junction Bar.
Gloria, do you want to go?
I'll check the dates. I saw that in your.
It's March 31st to April 3rd, I think, or April 2nd. Something like that. It's a fantastic conference. I've spoken at it before too.
Mhm.
Funded one.
Okay. I don't think there's anything else on DCI. Reappointments to the URA, I think you're aware.
Oh.
Nancy and John, Ann's reappointed. Now we do have a vacancy, I believe.
What's my status?
You are,
This is my last.
You're yours gonna be February 26th.
do you want to continue?
Do you understand?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Sorry.
You don't know.
Mark? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. Can you just shoot me an email just requesting that? I'll send it off to the mayor. She appoints.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So one question on the board members, if you look at the agenda, I think the terms are maybe messed up. For
Okay.
some of them, like it shows Pat.
Yeah.
Term expires in 2027. I
Okay.
think it should be, they're 5-year terms.
Okay, I had it wrong. Okay,
And-
so,
And also for Darlene, I think,
okay, so that would be,
Those are 5.
okay.
yeah.
I had it for 3, so it would be 2029, is that right? And Darlene, 2029, okay. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. I was looking through, trying to find that, and I thought it was a
Yeah,
3-year.
I thought it was 4 for the first 3 years I was on the committee.
And then you just kept going?
Just kept showing up now.
Yeah,
Nancy's not on there.
Yeah, I will add them all on.
John,
Yeah,
you put John on.
that happened kind of after I sent the agenda out. And then, so Alan Gregory sent a message to, to us. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It just said he really had a lot. Can you pull it up? Yeah. My phone is,
My second and final term ends with
Thank you.
tomorrow's meeting. Having been chosen by Marcy to join the URA board, it has been an honor, particularly as a non-resident, to participate. My early expertise has been more than eclipsed by current board members. I have great respect for all of you. And as I repeat myself, it has been an honor. I think that is all, yeah.
Tell them to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay, so I think that's all the updates on reappointments.
Mhm.
And then our city council liaison.
Well, you'd be glad to know in high school, I learned the 5 Bs of public speaking. Be brief, baby, be brief. This meeting, that is longer than normal.
This is much longer.
But we wanted to make sure they got baptized by fire.
Yeah. Yes, I did. Well, first of all, thank you all for changing your meeting date. I do appreciate. I'm also liaison to the chamber, so the two of these often work hand in hand, or they would like to.
Yeah.
And we've talked a lot about just the notion of economic development, how that means so many different things to people, so as we move ahead. And what I'm gonna do right now is Electra's given me, I think we had a meeting on August or September.
Mhm.
I was campaigning borrowing, so I'll continue to review the notes you give me, and then I'll look for feedback on what you'd like me to be at. Liaisons don't really advocate, but just can kind of speak in favor of different things. Certainly you can have your opinion. There may be a couple of things coming up that might impact you. There's a universal fee schedule that will be voted on in February. It has some increases in fees and vendors and things like that that might impact you, and there might be other things that are impacting you that I'm not quite aware of. And then the Metro District vote comes out March 4th. We're going to do a public input survey on the budget. It will give us some information about 2026, but primarily inform us for priorities for the 2027 budget. We've talked, you know, how it goes about these things. We will probably have at least one public meeting for those people who do not respond to online surveys. These will be text surveys, actually, with a company called Magellan. We did one a couple of years ago. And got their full 10% return rate. So we want to be able to not have the generic priority questions. So we're asking Magellan, give us some ideas, and the board wants to have input so that we get information we can actually use. So not how would you rate the quality of life in Manitou Springs,
Right.
Those sorts of things that they probably use around the world. And so we want to make it specific for that. The informational meeting may be really at the first stage of community engagement of informing, just so that people understand the enterprise funds versus the general fund and how things, what we have input on and what we do not have input on. And then I hope that we do more of that in the years to come, because one of the things I heard when I was campaigning was, you know, my 3 minutes at city council doesn't help me that much. I want to be able to have more in-depth or richer conversations. So I'm hoping that there's probably at least 4 people on city council right now who truly believe that, and the other 3 are coming our way. Slowly.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Put that in the record.
Yeah.
May I ask a question for her? How do you?
Thanks for it. Uh-oh, I just thought.
Oh, you don't want it corrected.
I should not commit my fellow city council members to any kind of position.
Yeah.
On anything.
There you go.
And also, if you'd like to get in touch with me, my text me, here's my.
Oh, I need.
Electric, do we have a full contact sheet?
Sending the
No,
information.
yeah, I have one. I need to just send it out. I'll get it out to everybody.
Oh.
Darling.
The other one.
are you sending the information that we decided on to? About the
Oh, here.
height and things? Are you emailing Fred or? I think we're emailing Fred. Are
Yeah.
you emailing Fred?
What I do.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll set up, yeah, that's exactly what I'll do.
Copy all.
Absolutely. What I'll do is I'll run it by Farley first and then I'll send it to everybody.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Alan?
Yeah, I thought Fred was thinking that there would be someone from the URA at the meeting.
Yeah, I thought we were also intending to be there.
Okay.
I know Farley and I will be there.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to come? I mean, other people sat on the board.
No, it's a planning commission. It's a work session. It's my understanding, I haven't seen the agenda, a work session with
5 o'clock.
CAB and URA, basically to discuss density.
It's 5 or 5:30.
No, whatever the next Wednesday is.
It is. And it's at 5:30, right? Is that right?
Yes, 5:30.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you can Zoom.
5:30.
Zoom is a possibility.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you all so much. Oh, wait, you gotta adjourn the meeting.
Yeah. Everybody said everything they need to say? No. Meeting adjourned.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kristen.
No
We-
problem. Have a good day.
Take care.
Oh, I do.